Okay, welcome you all with love. I'll just do a little prayer to get us started. Merging the heart and the mind. Hashem Yikud, Kudashah Brihu, Ushinate, Bi Ilu Imu Laiha, Chemuke Vavke, Biyadashim Shem, Kozriel Kolam, Amen. So, I welcome you all with love. And we are going to talk a little bit about the state of our inner world. And this is a little note I wrote today. Don't ask if you're ready. The real question is, are you done? Or are we ready? It's no longer being ready. It's done. We're ready to play here. And are we brave enough to be reborn? Willing to plant seeds of true transformation? Those are the questions that people are having to ask all over the world. This is not just a U.S. thing, it's all over the world. It's like, are we ready to plant the seeds of transformation? So we'll start with a little bit of dancing. I want to thank Doug behind the scenes, and we'll go right into that, and then we'll have a little discussion. Here we go. Okay, go. So a big question we're facing today is trying to rise to the occasion. So what's the occasion? Well, a lot of really dark things are happening on the planet. Obviously, the Epstein exposure is one of those things that are happening. A lot of immoral actions, a lot of unethical, all the way to cannibalism. A lot of people a certain amount of people in the elite are participating in these things. And the truth is, they've been doing this for a long time. This is not new. As a psychiatrist, I've seen people who managed to get out of this stuff alive, over the last 50 years. I've seen that this really does happen. What you're seeing now is it's being made more public. All the demonic sexual exploitation, the torturing and killing of children, and the pedophile activities. It's like, what is the matter with these people? But the truth is, it's not just U.S., it's Europe. And those are the areas I know most about. And it really is kind of amazing. That's almost how I see it. It's like, how can people do this? This is full demonic. And leaders of the different countries, they get pulled into it, I'm not sure what attracts them to it. Power over a child? I mean, how is that attractive? Sexual, energy. Okay, that can be it. How do we become demonic, though, in this process? So those are the questions that I think a lot of people are asking. And the real question I'm asking as we look at this is, are we brave enough to be reborn? Are we brave enough to wake up out of this system? Are we brave enough to change our way of life so that it doesn't support any of this in any way? Are we brave enough to really work to become healthy physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? Are we brave enough to do that work? I talk about the 6 foundations, okay? Eating in a healthy way that makes us strong, vibrant, and our minds are clear. Avoiding, toxins in the atmosphere, good relationships, meditating, praying. It's a way of life it's pretty much a holistic way of life in many, many traditions. This helps us not get sucked in to the demonic side of things. That's the key that I'm getting at. It's easy, if we aren't doing things that are uplifting ourselves, to try to get, and not just uplifting, but making us feel really good in a deeper, healthier way. So then the question is that it keeps us from being seduced into more demonic behaviors that we get a temporary hit, but very temporary, and then it tries to redo it again and again. They talk about this blood, what gets secreted in the blood, that adrenochrome, that people get a high from. Okay, well, you know what? You can get that high by living in this authentic, real way rather than child molestation and cannibalism and all these things. And these people are really doing it. And, we can say, I can say their lives are that empty that the only way they get an adrenochrome lift, rather than by through your own life, your own spiritual joy, is by drinking the blood and taking the adrenochrome of terrorized children. That's quite a statement. But that's what we're looking at. And it's hard. I have to have, even though I've been exposed to it and I've helped people heal it for the last 50 years, it's like, oh my God, I still can't believe people are this way. And that's really the truth of it. It's like, how is this possible? So those are the questions. And I think they're the questions that, in a certain way, all of us have a choice, because we're living in a society that supports, directly or indirectly, these behavior. We're looking at politicians that are somewhat actively involved in some of these things. It's like, so how do we start creating a climate that doesn't support this aberrant, demonic, satanic behavior? Because that's what we're talking about. There's just no way to frame it any other way, as our, some of the leaders are involved in this. And I don't want to make it just a yes, maybe 80%, 90% are Democrats, but that's, I think, incidental. It's really a leadership class type more issue, but then people are doing it at all levels of our society. It's like, this just has to stop. And the way it stops is us not participating, but also not planting seeds that allow us to be sucked in to this demonic, satanic activity. And that's, in a big way, the bottom line. Now, how do we go back to order? Well, one of the things we go back to order is give up the idea of moral relativism. It's like, okay, fine. I mean, where's our standard? Well, we have a biblical standard. We have the 10 speakings that, and this falls under the term adultery. Adultery is not just, married couples sleeping with, with people they're not married to. It is really all the sexual perversion. That's the larger term. So adultery is what we're in a sense, perversion, adultery. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal. You're stealing somebody's life force. You're stealing somebody's life. Or you're murdering them. All that is going on. And it's time for us to say, no, this is really not acceptable. And I don't care if you're wealthy or, part of the elite, it's still not acceptable. So there has to be some more kind of energy about this. So that's really, to me, the bottom line of the situation. We've just simply got to stand up more strongly for it. And again, I want to say, and I don't think a particular insider, but I've been treating people for these who survived this stuff for 50 years. It's like half a century. So it doesn't start with Epstein. He's just the worst example of this kind of behavior. And the current politicians who are, being exposed to being part of it, okay? And ultimately it starts with us. It says, if we create a strong frequency of biblical morality, that this is the real way of life, then we're more likely to have this go away. I mean, we've had it for thousands of years, but we're still more likely to have this go away. And I think that's the work we have to do, is return to like a biblical morality. Again, as I say, the adultery comes under all the sexual perversion. It's kind of covered in that discussion. But you want to think positively. So we want to live a life that creates spiritual joy. We're eating well and praying and meditating and involved in healthy relationships, cultivating love in our life, spiritual joy in our life. These are all things that really help and don't allow you to fall into the dark side of things. So I'm really proposing a more proactive creating this spiritual joy in life. That's what I'm really proposing. Let's create some spiritual joy for ourselves. Let's live in the way where we feel alive. We feel turned on, and we're making within ourselves all the adrenochrome and all the other oxytocin and hormones that make us feel really alive, really turned on. That's the way we move away from this in a positive way, rather than no, don't do this, don't do that. It's like, no, let's find a way of life that really works. And it's, again, not hard. Okay, I talk about the sevenfold peace, right? We eat in a way that brings us peace. We meditate and pray and it brings peace. We have family interactions that bring peace and love. We have community relationships that bring, peace and love. We relate to nature and the animal world in a way it's uplifting. We tune into what I would call spiritual ecology, again, in a way that's uplifting to us. And ultimately, we tune into God. And all these things come together so that we are experiencing the ecstasy of the divine. When we live that way, which we can, which is possible, then there's no need to do, the dark side doesn't have any hold on us. The false promise of the dark side, the little hits people get doing these terrible things, there's no sustainability whatsoever. And this is the key. So what I'm saying is, if we choose to live the sevenfold peace, we'd become into peace with all creation on every single level. It's a turn-on. It's a spiritual joy. It creates that hormone called oxytocin, which maybe is best known when mothers are breastfeeding, but it really happens all the time. And so it's like, real spiritual joy, real love, real happiness. And then the attraction to the small hit of perversion is what we're talking about, isn't there. We're not attracted to the perversion. And that's really the antidote. So I want to bless everybody that we are able to live in a way that we're just turned on to the spiritual joy of life, to the love of life, to the divine sound. One of the things that does help is spiritual fasting, and we do have a spiritual fasting retreat coming up May 26th in the Dominican Republic. And you can go to drcousinsspiritualfast.com. We do 2 fasts a year. It's for a week. It's a juice fast. And again, people get really high with it. They feel really good. And this is like reprogramming our system to feel what we're supposed to feel, to be turned on to our life. And so the spiritual fast is a really good way to break into that. That's kind of important. We do have a world healing meditation on Sunday evening. It's Sunday, depending on where you are in the world, 11:30 on the East Coast. It works. When we're tuned into a higher level, we're creating a bigger level of peace, and we're not so needy about trying to do perverted things to feel okay. So the next World Peace Meditation is on the 15th. So with that coming up, and we have Valentine's Day coming up, these are all really good things. Like enjoy the love. And you can find out more about these things at drcousens.com. I'll refer you to the spiritual fasting. Okay. Thank you for the heart subject. Good. And the key, thank you, Nephi Morningstar. The key is exactly it. Our ability to cut through and not focus on the darkness, but let's go back to the light. Let's dance in the light and experience the spiritual joy of this. So peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Could people be possessed, and that is why they're doing these demonic acts? Sheila, it's true. I hate to say it. And when I say for the last 50 years, I'm really talking about people who've been hurt, but we have entity possession and we have demonic possession. And that actually does happen. Okay? And that's part of the work I do. A little bit more privately, but yes, people come to me from all over the world, and as a Levite priest, I know I'm shamanically trained to help depossess people from entities, which is not, and then or demons. higher level. So these are very real things, and these are very real things that I do, and this is part why I know about all these things, And what happens is that some of these people who are victims, but also are wounded enough that they get possessed. But then people also get demonically possessed to do these things. So your question is a very good one. And yes, we do work on that. So, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And, of course, to Shanti and to Doug. I really appreciate Doug behind the scenes. It's really, really good. So, peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Atakyasam. And may we enjoy the love of Valentine's Day and the love of the divine in our lives so that we can't really be touched by the demonic forces that are affecting our world today. Peace be with you.